Hello. If you're seeing this, it's not live anymore. So I'm just going to wait for it to go live just in case anybody's watching. Ooh. And there we are. Oh, sound. I always forget the sound. Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome to my channel, it's Twilight Stitching. Today I'm going to sew up this lovely bag called Levi. It is a utility bag. I made a couple, it's been like a year and a half. So I actually have a custom order to make, but I'm still waiting to hear from them. So I thought I would sew up another one just to kind of get myself reacquainted with the pattern. Um, the pattern calls for some canvases. And kind of rugged because it's supposed to be a utility bag, but as you can tell, I was able to make it look pretty. I use rose gold hardware on here. It's got pockets, unlined pockets on the front and on the back. Same thing, unlined pockets, which is fine. Everything's got this binding on it. Sorry, if I can move it down a little. Oh, that's easier. Okay. So this one comes with one zipper. I'm going to put two zippers on the next one so it's an easier open from the center. So it's got a nice big open space here. But by unhooking these little things on the side, it becomes much bigger. So it has those on both ends. I am going to be making a more manly bag. Seems that those are well sought after. So I'm going to be using some hardware that is antique or bronze, and then I'm going to be using some heavy duty plastic hardware some places, utility type stuff. I have in the past lined these with a fabric, a themed fabric, which is really easy to do if you want to do that. I'm not going to do it on this one because I'm using a rather thick canvas, and but I am going to add, which is not in the pattern, some slip pockets on either side here. I just feel like a utility bag, even though it's got pockets out here, it should have some pockets inside. So they can be pushed out of the side if somebody doesn't need them, or they can, use them. Okay, so that's that. It's pretty spacious. It has the two handles and it has rings for crossbody. So let me show you now if I can move this down here. Hi, Dee Dee. Sorry, too busy looking at what I'm showing to see that you're there. Okay, so this fabric, which I had printed on a 12-ounce canvas, isn't that fun? This is what I'm using. So that will be the outside. This is the inside, which is it's a canvas, but it's called Renew Canvas. It's recycled water bottles, which I'm all for, using recycle stuff, but really I just like the feel of it, and there's some great colors. These are going to be the slip pockets on the inside. And let's see. I have various, ooh, can you see that? There we go. No vibrating. So this is that heavy duty plastic uh, hardware I was talking about I'm going to be using. This will be the crossbody strap, and then this will be the brown will be the straps all around it. And hardware, it's not very, I should say, there's not a ton of things, but like the zipper is, can I even get that in here? No, no, no. There's the end. There you can see it. It's a pretty long zipper. It takes up a bit of space. All right. Let's see here. So if this goes well, I might do an actual tutorial that will, be cut up and only show you the super important things. But I haven't put anything up for a while, so I thought I would do this. This is kind of interesting. Because I use Canvas, I didn't need to interface anything, but this is a Peltex, which is pretty stout stuff, and they have a double layer of it in the bottom of the bag, which I think is pretty cool. Also, oh, I know one other thing. The pattern is kind of cool in that it has one long piece that goes, can't get this, all the way around the front, the back, and then underneath, um, on all the way up to the top. It's one piece. And then the pockets that I showed you on the outside, that also comes up around. Unfortunately, when you're using a pattern that has directional stuff, you have to cut that in half and add the seam allowances to each side. It's worth the trouble to have cool prints. Oh, but I didn't label anything. Okay. So I'm going to first, this is my, it's kind of big to have on camera too. I didn't think about that. So this is half of the outside piece that I'm going to sew together with the other half of the outside piece. And these I think I added, I hope I added a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Oh my goodness, fuzzies. Let's see, where to put the pattern. Somewhere's here. Oh, come on. Yep. Okay, hold that thought. Must find where I stuck the pattern. There it is. The slit pockets on the inside was kind of a last minute addition, so I was quickly cutting those out. All right, so that, yes, I added 1/2 inch to make it easier. So I'm just going to sew this together, and I'm going to turn on my iron. And if it matters, I'm using kind of an olive drab thread to go with all of my olive drab stuff. Oh boy, oh boy. It's a great start. It's a good thing I checked halfway through. I would have been really ticked at myself for getting all the way and realized I had sewn them this way, which is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Ay, ay, ay. Sorry, this is kind of a boring part, but it has to be done. And canvas, just plain cotton canvas, falls apart easy on the edges, so I don't want to. Okay, see how it's just ripping away at the edge. Don't want that. So I do have a video to upload with a whole bunch of, I'm going to go on the bottom. Let me think about this before I start talking. Yes. Okay. Um, I have quite a few new fabrics that I had printed, and cottons, different canvas, drill, then cotton drill, and vinyl. And I need to upload that video, but I was mentioning that maybe a while before I can order any more, because this is all from China. They there are lots of manufacturers over there that one can hire to print your fabrics. And right now things are a little bit spendy to get them. So I was pretty happy to hear that they're working on some trade deals. I realize everything's not going to go back to exactly the way it was, but a little bit of increase is better than what it is at the moment. So I'll be interested to see how that pans out, but I'm good for now. And as soon as I get that video up, you will see I have plenty. I'm just ironing this seam open. Just to keep it as flat as possible on the bottom. So flat, and I'm not going to stitch on either side because I'm going to turn it over and put on, let's get some of these things out of here. This guy, let's see. Okay, so just following the pattern. They actually don't want me to do this at the moment because we're going to take care of the pocket that goes around that first. But it just so happens that I have to do the same thing with this because also directional. So same thing, just to explain one more time. If you have, let's just say you have a piece that spans 20 inches around, and you have a directional print, so you basically want to cut it in half. So you're going to cut it in half at 10, but you need a seam allowance. And depending on what that seam allowance is, that's what you add. So I added a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So then your pieces would be 10 and a half each. Then you sew them together at 1/2 inch. Then you end up with your 20. Half inch is typically a little big for bag making. They like to use 3/8, somewhere between a quarter and they go 1/2 inch sometimes, but it makes math really easy because basically you're adding two halves and yeah. Again, ironing the bottom open so that it is now the size of the bag or the piece that I would have started with had I used a canvas that did not have a directional print, such as one that's totally solid, which these are really nice and solid also. All right, so now we're going to uh, add binding to the top because this is the pocket piece that goes around the outside. There is no lining here. And typically sewing the outside to the lining is how you get your nice seam there, but we don't have that. So we're going to add binding. And again, the pattern calls for it. Now, let me preface this with the pattern's a little older. It calls for things that aren't typically the same name these days, but it calls for double or bias binding, double fold bias binding. And oops, bias binding has its places. It's takes up a lot of space to make if you're going to make your own. The canvas, I'll be glad when I get the edges encased. Bias binding takes a lot of space because you have to cut your fabric on the diagonal. So in order to get a longer piece, you need a lot of space. You can buy it in limited colors, but realistically, the only reason you need bias binding is if you're going around curves, because it definitely works better around curves. This is just some lightweight water resistant, waterproof canvas. I don't know if you can even see the color. You get close enough. Oh, there. Anyway, I'm just going to basically I'm going to put some double-sided tape down the middle, fold each end into it, and then I will fold that over this and sew it on. So I'm kind of cheating, but this is typical binding for bags. And anymore, if I need the bias stuff to go around around corners and stuff, I'm usually using the fold over elastic because it allows you to stretch as you go. I am using a white chalk pencil. It's quite handy on this black. Shows up very well. I have notes in my instructions from the last time I made this, and I have basically the width of this fabric plus, anything that or longer works. So all of these are longer because, sometimes when you're cutting, it's just easier just to finish off the row. Okay. use some 1/4 inch double-sided tape. I am actually going to cut this one a little bit. It's super long. That way I don't waste a bunch of my tape. It probably doesn't need to be this perfect, but they work so much better when it's this perfect. Well, I could probably, I do have some double folded bias binding on the roll that I've purchased, and I do have some in black, but it's very, I don't know. It seems like this is so much more prominent on the bag. I kind of like the canvas look. This waterproof, water resistant canvas. The double folded bias binding is definitely a cotton woven type fabric. So this has a little bit more of a rugged feel to it. It's funny. I have made several things. Since I started making bags, I've been trying to find something different patterns. There's so many different patterns. So trying to find a pattern that I can make that leans a little more in the desirable by men looks. And I've made a few, and it seems like those are what go at the craft shows first. So I think I would get into that a little bit more, but they tend to be a little more plain and maybe not as fun to make. But this is cool. I like this. But guys, even worse than girls, getting a themed bag for a guy, unless it's like Star Wars. Not that there's anything wrong with Star Wars, but themed bags are not high on the priority list for companies making bags. I'm still looking for that perfect messenger bag that I think would be perfect for guys. But I also think that I might need to play around with some leathers if I really want to make messenger bags. But it just seems like that would be so much more expensive. Oh well, I got enough things going. I don't need to. I'm afraid to get into leathers. I don't know if you've seen my room, but I have plenty of stuff I don't need. Leather. In addition, where would I put it? Okay, so I'm just going to fold this over the edge. Try and keep it evenly spaced and hold it down with clips. Yeah, this will be nice. Yeah, I like that messenger bag too. Um, but it's wax canvas and it just slinks into a corner if it's not full of stuff. And maybe that's just it. Maybe I need to stuff it because it just, wax canvas, it just gets squished and then in transit, it gets squished. So when I pull it out, it's not really that impressive. But I bet you if I put a bunch of notepads in there and some other things, it might look a little more impressive. All right, so I'm just gonna stitch this down. I wonder if I should use black. Ah, darn it. Okay, well, I sort of thought of this ahead of time. I made sure I had black bobbins out. I just need to put black up on I have 2 spots, so it's a good practice when you're doing bindings to match it. Because if you start sewing and you go off the back at all, you're going to need to restitch it. And if it matches the binding, you won't notice it. Now, if I used green and then, you know, did my line and like, oh, I didn't get it, so then I do this big old loop there, it would totally show. But only somebody looking up close is going to notice if I do that with the black. Whoops. Yeah, thick interfacing, but you mean in the construction or for display? Oh, to keep it structured. Yeah, it's just not gonna stay that way because of the fabric. I mean, it's still canvas. Canvas it's a very flowy. This one just has creases, so the only way to make it look full and useful, I think, is to put stuff in it. What am I doing? Black. Yes, black. Canvas still leaking on me. And as far as keeping things structured, I have so many bags that really could use some stuffing to make it stay structured until the next show. Um, they take up more space that way, though. Okay, well, let's try this again with black. Well, All right, and upon inspection, thankfully, I got all of the stitches on both sides. It's very, very good. Okay, I'm just going to do the other side with, oh, my binding on the ground. I pulled out a bunch of canvases for that custom order that I need to do. I was trying to give them options, and I realized my 10-ounce canvas really is kind of lightweight. I don't know that I would want to build a whole bag with that without adding a little bit of interfacing. It's just not a real heavyweight canvas. This being 12 ounce, I think is much more reasonable for a utility bag like this. But that is why they have interfacing, to beef up fabrics. And check. Yep, got all the way across again. Very, very good. Okay, the outside piece that will be the pockets. Next. Now, into the four edges. Marks are on. Okay, now we're going to do that Peltex stuff. I'm going to put this, sew this together basically. Base it together, sew it together. The one that they have in the pattern has fusible. I don't have fusible, so I'm not going to mess around with fusible. I'll probably just canvas. I'll probably just stitch it to the bottom from the outside after I add a bunch of double stick tape to the center of this so that it will stick to the bottom of the bag. I know it's a lot of pin or a lot of clips. I just don't want it to. It already moved. See how crazy is that? Okay. Mhm. I think I can go back to green for the moment. Well, this doesn't matter. Talking to myself. Sorry. Interesting. Just okay. That's done. Now I'm going to draw a line down the middle so that I know where the center is, which is going to require okay. And I'm just going to use a regular pen, I think. Do. Yep. And I don't have to mark the center on this, which is kind of convenient because I have this seam right down the middle. Now what do? I need to center it here. Do. Yep. What's it say about? Okay. From the center out. Okay. For this job, I pull out this super thick tape. And I'm going to draw a line on this side because I would rather, there's a bit of a concave. I'd rather the curve was down. So I need to know where the middle is on this side. Now I can fill this with tape. Put a couple right down the middle here so I can get that loose seam stuck down. Apparently you can get this Peltex in fusible. And I also have the stuff that you iron on with the paper, and then once it's stuck down, you pull off the paper and it's ready and fusible for the other side. But no matter how much I do, I've tried that several times, and it's like I always use it for stuff like this, and it's like the heat, my ironing on the other side, trying to get it to stick down, I can't get enough heat through it to, I'm probably using it for the worst applications. It's meant for lighter weight stuff, but oh well. Come on. I've already been online for 42 minutes. This is supposed to be an easy bag, and all I've done is oh well. It is simple. And if I actually knew what I was doing, like the next time I make the bag, I will already be thinking about the next step before I actually get to it. That's the way it is with bag making. Okay, that is stuck pretty darn good. Oops, I'm going to put this back in this bag. Tape dries out. Okay, so I'm going to go to this side and actually changing my thread again. Oh, that was dark. I always envy people who could make a bag with one thread color for the whole bag. Sure would be nice to not have to change my thread all the time. I don't have to. I can't stand not to. Black is okay, but green is so much cooler. Well, I'm glad you like it. And I hope truly that it's helpful. Oh, come on. Okay. And this, I'm just going to kind of feel that Peltex is pretty prominent. So I'm just going to feel for it and stitch along the edge. Yeah, this is working. green. Okay. Let's see how we did. Well, you can't really tell the difference between the black and the green on this side. But the point is, it is sewn down. The middle is stuck down. And the bottom is now quite solid. Ooh. Yes, yes. Okay, next. And this is where we use these long piece webbings. Mm-hmm. All right, so they give you measurements, but we're going to take each piece. Again, since I have that bottom line right there, it's going to start here. It's going to go up, ooh, around, and back down to this side, like that. One handle, done. But they want me to pin it. What? Not pinning if I don't have to. I'll use more double-sided tape because that's way more convenient. So how far up do I go? I am going to draw a line at the tip of this because they say not to sew past this measurement. So I'll mark that with my white chalk pencil. Where'd that go? Right here. All the way across. They don't really tell you how to do this. This is just my, it seems like it'll make it easiest. And I'm going to mark, oh yeah, it's coming up. It doesn't mark as easily on the canvas. So since this is 1 inch webbing, I'm going to mark like a 2-inch spot at that, that measurement on, 2 inches. So on either side of the 1 inch, so that I will know either way not to go past that. Okay. Yeah. Just measuring how much tape I can put on there. Okay. So I don't want to put tape past right here. Oh, hold please. It sounds like it's pouring down rain out there. And my blinds are closed and I can't have that because I love to watch the rain. Oh yeah, there's hail in that. That's good. Oh, I'll put that on that spot. Ooh, out of my tape. Have no fear. I have many more rolls here. Oh, Cohen don't know it. Yeah, well, we got poured on last night. Lightning, thunder, pouring down rain, and then it's been pretty cloudy, sunny all day, but we're getting rained on now. Okay. More tape. I doubt you can hear it through the very high-tech mic, but it's so cool. This is the kind of thing that I put on my TV or YouTube to listen to while I sew. I like it a lot. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but since this is going to be basically raw on the bottom of the bag, I just want to make sure it's well singed. All right, you can go away. And I'm going to turn it around so I can, you're not going to be able to see it though. And basically on the other side, I'm going to put a ruler measuring where they said to keep the line, the distance. I'm going to do it on this side and then stick down my handle. That's what I'm going to do. I can finish sentences. Ta-da. One side down. I'm sorry, I'm going to do this. Let's see. Try and turn this around. This bag is mostly rectangles. Well, actually, it is squares and rectangles. So, really want to work hard to not give away her dimensions. Because it makes it way easier to copy. I always felt like patterns with actual pieces that are definitely, you have to follow the pattern to cut them out, that giving away other things while sewing aren't as big a deal. I mean, I still try not to when I'm doing other people's patterns, but it's like you can't copy the pattern pieces just by watching a pattern or watching a tutorial. You used my single trick on a reusable bag. The binding and the edge is stuck above. Oh, singe trick. That's weird. But before I started making bags, I never really paid attention to the construction of other bags and purses. And now that I do, they're not that great. They leave threads hanging. It's crazy how nobody ever actually looks at that stuff and they're still fine with it. I was fine with it, but now that I'm making, I'm like, no, it has to be perfect. Okay, so now it's like that. I'm going to. What are they suggesting here? Yeah, so that, and so I'm just gonna sew a big rectangle, and I think possibly I'll put a rivet here. Yeah, they suggest doing an X, doing a box and an X, and I don't like doing that. That has to be that has to be perfect, or it looks funny. Why does that not look right? This looks wider down here. Oh, I think it's fine. Just looks funny on the table. Okay. I am going to go across at that line that I marked up here to make my rectangle. So that singe trick, I should probably mention, that only works if it's not cotton. If it's a cotton, it will burn. Just want to forewarn you there. Okay. But anybody that's got any knowledge in making bags are not going to use cotton threads, but they could use cotton fabrics. You never know. So these are, they'll be okay. But it seems like, I don't know. I might like to find a way to make it one long piece instead of two cut pieces and then stitch it together here so I don't have these loose ends. That doesn't make sense. Although it will be covered. Yeah, it will be covered by the pocket that goes over. Kind of weird. I'll see. Okay, so same thing all over again to the other side. This should go faster. Where's my other piece of? Oh, there it is. Right. That's what I was saying, one long strap so that I wouldn't have these ends congregating at the bottom of the bag, and it could very well make it sturdier. I mean, it will, although everything is sewn down. Everything is sewn. I would more do it because I don't like having these loose, not loose, they're singed, but they're also going to be under the pocket. See, I sew another piece on top that produces pockets uh, here. And then it's sewn across the bottom here so that the pockets stop here. So this part is never actually seen again because it's covered up by the pocket, the very bottom of the bag. If that makes sense. It should make more sense once we get there, but Try again. I had a twisted strap. Make sure your strap's not twisted. Uh, okay. In the spirit of taking less time. Yes, I understand the straps around the bottom feeling more strengthened. Although, like I said, you're not going to actually see that strap all around the bottom. You won't even know if it's connected because these butt up to each other. So they still go all the way around. Come on. All the way around the bottom of the bag. And they're underneath fabric you can't get through. So it'll be interesting to see. Okey-dokey. Now, straps are not twisted. It's very important to make sure it's not twisted before you sew it down. Phew, that one's not twisted. Ay, ay, ay. This also would hide a lot of your my erratic stitching if I was using the same color thread. But I'm not about to get a third color out just for straps. Nobody's gonna notice unless you show it to them. But I do a lot of black straps with black thread, and it's great because you can't see anything. Thanks. It's my favorite part of pack making is picking out all the stuff to go together. I do believe I've mentioned that maybe once or twice. Okay, I'm going to re-singe these one more time since stitching close to the edge made some of them try to make a fuss. Okay, there we go. Outsides. All right, next. Oh, I'm going to do those rivets real quick. Glue, because I'm not going to singe my little hole punch. And I don't always use these little helpers, but this is going to be visible. So, if I can make it uniform, that's best. Yep. Can't see anything without my glasses though. Okay. So I'm just going to put it in the middle of a 1-inch square. I'm going to use this guy now. My silver pen goes through a little easier than chalk. You already ordered some bags. Okay. And, in case anybody wants to know, this came from Sew Yours. Handy dandy little thing. So this is one of my cam snap presses. It's pretty handy, and after you use it for a while, you realize it sure would be nice to have one just that had your punch, and then use the other one for doing your rivets and stuff. So this is just my hole puncher, and actually I've been doing it this way lately. It's actually quite a bit easier to pull down like this. And but I can ask for original color. Okay, that works. The other side. Stop. I keep hitting my light. This press and all its associated dyes and stuff comes from Cam Snaps, spelled with a K. Okay. And this one, I thought I would just, do it up here once. I'll have other rivets later in the bag, but I'll do those over there. And then my rivets, I'm going to do some antique bronze. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And if you look at these from, let's see, this level, you can kind of see how it's already trying to fray, because that's what this ribbon does. Ribbon. So I'm going to stick some glue in there. It'll make it to the other side. Because singeing this might prove difficult. I don't actually want to burn it. Okay. Stuff a little of those in the hole, put my rivet through, snap on the back. And while this is still full of glue, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Rivet through, snap on the back. And then from the top, now press the die that I use is for a little bit bigger ones, bigger diameter of rivets. So I want to make sure that this is centered, not twisted, because it will make funny marks if you don't center it. All that. And beautiful. Flat rivet. Flat rivet. Perfect. Okay. I'll just do these real quick. Come on. Well, rivets are really easy to put in with this setup, and they can add so much. This is going to add a little strength, being that it's right at the tip of the handle. Okay. Done with that. Done with this. This fly back. Their bottoms are kind of rough, so I usually do it on a piece of fabric that I have over there, or a little mini ironing board. Okay, what's next? What's next? I did my little things there. Okay. Now we're going to add our little pieces for that hold the D-rings that the crossbody strap can connect to. And singe to seal the ends. Slide. Pin. See, that's how old it is. It tells you to pin something. We don't pin anything anymore. Okay. No, this is the short ones, right? These are the wrong ones. These are tiny. We need the ones that are a little bit longer. There we go. Longer. I think the short ones go on the end to hold the other D-ring type things. Okay. So again, we singe away. Put a D-ring on. This is a 1-inch D-ring on a 1-inch webbing. And then we're going to fold it to the middle, like that. Then I'm going to sew around that or just pin on the right side. Left on the left side of the handle. Okay. All right. I'm going to do a little bit of prep work here so that I don't have to mess around with this. I'm just going to put a piece of double-sided tape between here and there, stick them down, and then I'll put it on the bag and stitch it down. I tell you, I just don't know what we did without this or before double-sided tape. Okay. You guys get back in your place. All right. Isn't that handy? I am going to put a clip right where it separates until I get it. Oh, wait, you know what I could do? I could just put another piece of double-sided tape because it is essentially tape, so it will hold all that together. I just won't put a super long piece like that. Next. Kind of give it a little bit of crease there so I know where it's going to fold. Oh, and Dee Dee, I should mention, I did just verify that I have permission from the pattern maker of the everyday tote, the one that I carry around as my purse, and you have. I can do tutorials for that. So I can do that one on a live also, or a tutorial. Either way, I can do it now. I can just decide which one to do. Okay. Yes, sweet. I actually haven't had anybody tell me now, which is really nice. I do have one that hasn't gotten back. All right, this goes. So it goes on the left side here, and then the other one is going to go over here somewhere. They actually give you dimensions from the top and the side. I'm not going to say that, so I'm just going to measure over here, get it taped down, and then flip. Oh, yeah. Okay. It goes there. And there. Come on. And there we have it. See? Tape. What would I do? Can't use pins. I'm actually going to sew this one down though before I tape the other one in place. Oh, this is getting cramped. It's actually my thing here holding up my laptop. It is in the way of my stiff bottom. Okay. Come on. I think I'm going to have to hold this up. At least I'm moving away from it. Yep. And if I turn it this way, it's almost impossible to get a nice stitch because the back of the foot is trying to sit on this D-ring. So I'm going to set it here. I'm going to go backwards stitching for a little bit. Then I'll turn it around. Okay. I'll do the same thing over on this side. Whoa. Sorry about that. I don't know if I hit the camera. Well, I don't think that I actually came up with that slick maneuver, but I only had to see it once to say that worked really well. I'm going to do that myself. All right. So now we have this full long piece that has the D-rings on either side and straps. Pocket pound. Okay, this is where we cover up all of this. This is going to go right on top. And again, I didn't have to do any special finagling to find out where the centers are because they're right there. Okay, see how that top will look with the pockets. And then this will be sticking out. So inside your pockets, you'll actually have the strapping, which is just fine. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to add some more binding here along this bottom edge of the pocket, and it's the edge of the Peltex. I'm going to attach some of these here. So in this bag, see how this lays on top of the straps that we just did. And this right here is what we're going to be putting on. So just kind of, it's the bottom of these pockets and it outlines the bottom of the bag. So that requires more. Not these. Uh-oh. Did I not cut enough? What did I do here? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't. Oh my, you're going to have to give me just a few minutes. I was supposed to cut 4 pieces and I cut 2. So sorry. I can't pause it like a recording, so you get to listen to me cut 2 more pieces from my water resistant canvas. And I'd bring the camera with me if it was my cell phone, but it's not. It's much harder to move around than it could be. Let's see. I think this one piece will do it. And if you're writing anything to me, I definitely can't see it at the moment. So I want to create a binding that when folded over looks a 1/2 inch. And I'm double folding it. So I'm cutting 2-inch pieces. That will end up being 1/2 inch. Okay. Just need to make sure that this is long enough for both sections. Yes. Ta-da. Yeah. All right. I'm going to cut this in half. So each piece, man, you can't see it. Ugh. Will span the whole bag there. But now I'm going to do the whole chalk line and tape, folding it together. And this. Try and move it out of the way. That didn't come out. Try again. It gets raining again, but very lightly. The only bad thing about having my blinds open is that inevitably, no matter what it does all day, when the sun gets to the west side of the house, it peeks through the clouds and shines in on my face and my fabric, and then I have to go close the blinds. At least it's not hot, because I don't like it when it's hot. I'm probably going to have to change my thread again. All right, now pin the pocket to the body, base along the two long edges. Okay. So before I put those on, I'm going to finish clipping these and then baste the edges together. Okay. Hold on a second. Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to put the mic down for a moment. Talk to my husband. Okay, I'm back. So this is just basted, so bigger stitch just to get them to stay in place. Right, so they're saying the easiest way to know where to put these pieces of binding is to draw a long line along this bottom of the peltex. So I'm kind of putting the ruler up against that peltex. And I'm going to use my chalk pencil again. Draw a line. I'm also going to go ahead and put some more double-sided tape down the middle of this. And just try and center it over that. I'll do the other side. And then I'll switch out my thread again to black. Well, this didn't stay together very well. All right, these are ready to go. And I'm going to sew on either side, and I'll just sew off of it. I don't need to make a close in the rectangle because those are all going to be sewn into a side seam. So back to black. And the bobbin. Actually, yeah. I'm going to put it back to normal stitch length because even though it's kind of like a top stitch, it's not really. I want it to have a better stitch. Yeah, there's that sun coming in the window. I swear. It's all kinds of cloudy out there, but the sun breaks through to come in my window. Stay out of the way. Okay. Ugh, sorry, I gotta close the blinds. Can't see anything. It's so bright. And it's raining. It's raining, cloudy, yet the sun is blasting in my windows. Okay. This is better, I think. Here's the side of the bag. And it's technically the bottom. And now there's a bottom to the bag, and you can't see anything that was under here. Well, not yet. I'm going to sew up this side too. Yeah. Cut off these extra sides. All right, so now almost done with this top piece. We're gonna sew a line up the middle here. Okay. Oops. This is probably a centered line, but they actually give you a measurement to measure from the outside edge. So I'm just going to go with that on both of them so they are matching. And oh, I have to switch my thread again. Oh, goodness. All right, where's my glasses? Sometimes I can get in the vicinity and it works. Okay, I've got glue stuck to my hands. All right. So I'm just going to go from binding to binding. Oops. And the other side. And I will probably add a rivet, a small rivet right above that stitch line. Where'd it go? Right here. But I can do that anytime. So for the sake of moving on, I can do that later. Since that, yeah, I can do it later. What's next? Okay, now I get these little guys. Oh, I need the side pockets. Not side pocket. Fold a side pocket in half. I think they mean a side panel. Yeah, they do. Because it's not a pocket. So they want us to clip. We're going to use these puppies. No, not those puppies. These puppies. Oh, excuse me. All right. And fold under. Pin the webbing and this snap to the side panel. Again with the pinning. Oops. Singe. These are really, look at this thing. It's one heavy duty thing. Spin it around. It's very fluid. Funny. No meds. I just have to clear everything every once in a while, which I don't get to do while I'm live. Okay. Crease and matching. Okay. So I don't think this is a big secret, but they want you to fold this down 1.5 inches, which is approximately halfway down. Can you see that? Focus on this. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, that's a little better. 1.5 inches. Looks like it's about halfway down. And then we're going to put it here and sew a rectangle. Well, I guess an open-ended rectangle since we're not going to. But I don't like how this is slipping around, so guess what I'm going to use? More double-sided tape. I got the sniffles after the break. Well, they're just around. I feel fine, so I really can't complain. I still have a cough and I still have a runny nose, but I feel fine. So, okay, I was supposed to mark the center spot on this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Actually, they say if you make a crease, that way you can lay it on the center crease up to the whole side, or at least as far as this is going to go. All right, so center that there, center it all the way up there. Okay. Ta-da. Sew on. There. Yeah, it's a little different how a lot of times you have this coming down to snap onto a hook. Well, this bag this is the hook, and then the corners have the D-ring that come down and clip onto the hook. I guess if you didn't really like it that way, you could change it, but it keeps the top of the bag less weighted because it only has that little D-ring instead of this big old hook hanging off of it. Still peeling glue off my fingers from that, doing those 4 little rivets. Okay, next. Okay, we're going to sew these onto that main top panel. Right side down. Let's see. Makes it pretty easy having all these markers here. We have the middle of the bag marked by the seam, and this is marked. So I'm just going to clip this, and the instructions say to start in a 1/2 inch on either side. So I'm just going to mark it real quick. I just marked either side. Oops. Just give a little bit of extra reinforcement where the webbing was. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. Oops. this pen, it's on the back side, so it doesn't really matter, but it's an air erasing pen. It's very convenient because it goes away without heat, without anything. All right. Next. All right, we're going to sew up the sides now. So let's see. I think I'm going to pin it this way so I can stitch down here and see this where we just ended. Supposed to fold and go up the side now. Sorry about that. I'm going to put a little bit stronger one in the corner here. Okay, so easy peasy, right? I'm going to do this corner, this side, and then the other two sides. Let's see how this works with this big old thing up here. Sorry, can't see anything. It's really hard to see myself, actually. This guy's. Get out the old stiletto and keep my fingers out of there. look at that. It came together. So they say you're supposed to start where you left off, which was right there. And I got to it coming from the other direction. So I think it's good. Looks pretty good from here. All right. Now to do this side. Now this one, I might actually start down here. This is just easier to sew that direction for me. I don't know if I can even show this to you. Okay, so this is where I stopped, and that was flat. So now I'm going to kind of pull this around and go up with that. Let's see if I can start there. I actually think it was easier going the other way. So that one is not as pretty, but I still think it did the job. Oops. All right, the other side. Last one. This corner is much more difficult. This doesn't want to stay together. Well, you learn there's really no point in getting all hot and bothered about it. If you can just go one stitch at a time, sometimes in those places that are uncomfortable, you're one stitch further. Now what? That's it for those instructions. So I'm going to sew a second seam right next to that, and I'm going to start about an inch down just to give it extra, because you never know what somebody, especially a man, might carry in his utility bag. That will allow me to go all the way around the whole bag too. It will also allow me to trim the seams and not worry that they're going to come apart because I have 2 stitch lines. Lead weights. I don't know what the handles. I don't know. That's, yeah, you get my point. Okay, so second row of stitching is just right next to it. So now I can trim all this excess and not be too concerned. I am going to leave the top untrimmed. what are they actually used for? Fishing, hunting, weightlifting. Sorry. Canvas really is messy stuff. Oops. I took that one all the way to the edge. Didn't mean to do that. I'll pick it if it becomes a problem. Okay, now place your lining. Okay. Oh, I'm stuck. There we go. We gotta do all this stuff with the lining. First, okay, the sides or the ends. There's a side. Okay. These are the two pockets. And I'm just going to, what am I going to do? Yeah, I'm going to fold them up here. I'm going to sew this together with a 1/4 inch seam because that's what I put into my cutting. I'm going to turn them inside out, press them, and then sew them onto the side. Maybe 1 or 2. I don't know. We'll see. Again, this is an addition to the inside. It's not part of the pattern. I cut these the width of the bag piece, and I cut them, let's see, 10.5, because after I sew it together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, turn it inside out, I wanted it to be 5 inches. Gotcha. Hmm. Can't get. I'm going to leave these in because this is the bottom edge of the pocket that will be sewn onto the bag. And this, I'm going to sew across the top here a little top stitch. And do it again. My thread is getting low, my bottom thread. You can hear it. It is getting low, but it'll get me across this for now. Okay. So I just need to figure out how they determine what's the side of the bag. Okay. Close the So I'm supposed to sew the inside to the bag right now. Does it say somewhere to do the same assembly with the... Yeah. So I'm supposed to do the same thing with the side panels of the lining. It's just kind of a lot of written instructions without too many pictures. Or some pictures. So this one does not have the mid seam marked for me with a stitch line. I'd really like to finish one of these bags on live. I'm afraid I might have to go because it's already been 3 hours. My nose needs to be blowed. Blowed. Bad grammar. And I just don't know how much more this is going to be. I didn't know. This is in the middle. I just would like to finish the bag. Maybe I'll just get on super late tonight and finish it. You know, after you're already in bed. Because I'm sure if I get off now, that will be by the time I get back here to work on it. That's what it'll be. Okay, so that goes there. So if I just mark the edge of this pocket, oops. So this is centered on the bottom. If I just mark the edge of the pocket, that should be a good place to put the bottom of the pocket, I think. Yep. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Drop Draw me a line. It should work like that, right? I'm going to check the other bag just since I got it right here. It doesn't make sense to not verify these things. The top. Oh, I see. From the top of the bag. Sort of. To the bottom of the side. This looks better. Okay. Oh, I think I need to move it up. See, I need to figure this out. Because this is going to get sewn on here, but only to about here, and then it's going to get turned and then sewn up here. So why wouldn't that work? Maybe because it slouches a bit in the back. Come on. Yeah, I think that's a little more realistic. So if I put that there, but if I moved it up just a ½ inch more, I think that's what I'll do. I'm gonna from that line and stick a piece of tape in here or two. See how this goes. And I'm just gonna kitty. It's or 3 buckets. Still not very deep. It's only 5 inches, minus the little seam allowance here. You made it. Maybe I'll do 2 on one side and 3 on the other. Okay. I wouldn't say I'm hardcore, but you'll note that I had a live where I started that one of those bags. It was another bottle up sling, and I never got around to coming back on and finishing it. I did finish it, but I had to do it off camera because it was, the middle of the night and I needed it done. Oops, I'm gonna start bottom. Okay. Well, I will stick with 3 pockets on this side and then 2. I'll just separate it in the middle on the other side. So anything bigger can go in the bottom of the bag. Get this stuff out of here. This tape is great. It just didn't like to come off very nice. That one came off better. All right. Other side. Okay, I'm going to go, but what I'm going to do is just kind of lay out what I'm going to do here. So same thing, I'm going to draw over here. Sew this on, just put one, separate it into 2 pockets. So one line down the middle. Then I'm going to sew the sides on, just like I did on the outside. Then we take this inside piece, put it inside. Actually, I think I can turn this out so you can kind of see what it looks like. Because I'm going to put this inside here and then bind at the top. And then add the zipper to the top, which is the last step. So it's pretty floppy at the moment. I don't know if you can even see. Yeah. So the inside sits inside here, and then uh, we bind the entire top together with the two pieces. And then we add the zipper that has a D-ring on the end, and then it comes down and connects here. In case I don't come back, that's what will be the end of that. But if I come back, maybe I'll, that canvas, maybe I'll do something else while I'm at it, because that shouldn't take too long. So I say, okay, I'm going to go. Thank you very much for being with me. And I think this is going to be a really cute bag. Sorry, really cool, rugged bag. Yeah, okay. Yeah, funny. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.